So hi guys, and welcome to the fourth edition of the GB podcast. Today I'm joined by Michael and we'll be discussing the Champions League semi-finals between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, and also the tie between Juventus and AS Monaco. So Michael, can you see AS Monaco or Atletico Madrid overturning their large deficits to reach the Champions League final?
To be honest, I don't see either. Well, I don't think either of them will happen. But with the quality of both teams, I think it's still not completely impossible. They both have shown the quality to even get to the semifinals. Atletico can show a good defensive performance and try to keep a clean sheet against Real Madrid. They're playing at home. Meanwhile, Monaco are a young and exciting team, and they can, it's only 2 goals, so you could see them overturning that deficit. The only problem is they have to play away. But overall, with this type of tie, you would think they're over, and they most likely are, but I don't think it would be fair to discount either team.
And obviously you'll be an optimist being a Atletico Madrid fan. We've seen Griezmann the other night, who was extremely disappointing for his high standards. Do you feel his impact on the team is probably the most important thing for Atletico along with their defence?
Yeah, I really do. He's the type of player that can really carry the team. He can change the game just by himself. The problem with the first leg was that he was forced to drop deep too much because Atletico could not create any chances. They could not bring the ball out from their own half. So he was, wanting the ball, and he would have to come deeper, and that would kind of neutralize his effect because he was unable to influence the goal-scoring chances. And it was easier for Real Madrid's midfield to take care of him because they were very strong on the day. If Atletico at home is a little stronger and they're able to be better on the ball and create more chances, then hopefully he can really shine as the striker and hopefully put 1 or 2 away if they want to make it interesting. So yeah, he can really be key.
Yeah, definitely. So we're set to introduce a Barcelona expert who will be talking about his fiercest rivals, Real Madrid, and their chances of reaching the final and winning the competition. And we'll also be speaking to a Juventus supporter on their chances of reaching the final and likewise. So I'd like to welcome Malha to our discussion today of Juventus. Hi mate. So how are you doing today?
Pretty good, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm with my co-presenter Michael as well.
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
And we've also got Francesc joining us. Sorry about the recent connectivity issues, Francesc.
That's okay.
So, if we start, we're also joined now by a Juventus supporter called Malha.
Hi. Good.
Hey, how you doing?
So,
Good, thank you.
if we start with Francesc, talking about Real Madrid, obviously being a Barcelona expert, do you feel that Real Madrid have already confirmed their spot in the Champions League?
I think Madrid have got it sorted now. Atletico de Madrid are not an attacking team at all. They've got a lot of qualities. Under Diego Simeone, they've developed into an aggressive winning team that leaves the souls on the pitch, and they play the rule book to their advantage. Having said that, they're not a team that can go all out and score 3-4 goals against, I would say, pretty much anybody, and definitely not a team of Real Madrid's caliber. So yeah, based on the disastrous performance at the Bernabeu last week, I think Atletico Madrid are out.
Have we lost you there, Francesc?
Yeah, I just said that Atletico Madrid have got no chance of progressing, so Real Madrid would be in the final.
So we got an Atletico Madrid supporter with us today, Michael, who would be reluctant to agree with that, but that's being an optimist. But how do you feel about what Francesc said there, Michael?
No, yeah, for the most part, I agree. I mean, I want to give them a little credit too. On their day, I think in a one-off game, if it's playing at home, they could manage to get their flow going and get the win and maybe even score a couple goals. I think what's really going to kill them in the second leg is the fact that Real Madrid doesn't need to score, so they're going to be leaving themselves more open to the counter, because from minute 1 they need to be attempting to score because they have 3. It's kind of a big mountain, it's 3 goals to score against this really dominant Madrid side. If it was just a one-off game and they just needed 1 win, then you could see them perhaps scoring a couple goals. But I think scoring that many goals and trying to keep a clean sheet is what makes this like a truly impossible task.
Yeah, so let's get Malha involved in the debate today. So as I asked Frances with Real Madrid's chances of reaching the final, do you feel that Juventus have also confirmed their spot with their 2-0 win in midweek?
I'm not sure about confirmed, but I definitely think we're favored. I mean, we had a strong showing against in the first leg. I think we're going back to the Juventus Stadium for the next leg, and I think that'll be not an easy win, but it'll be I'm confident in their ability to win that one.
Yeah.
I just think I think currently they're focused on the game on Saturday against Torino, but next week I don't think there'll be any trouble at the second leg.
So if you compare the team that were defeated by Barcelona in the Champions League final in 2015, how would you say that the team have improved from that point?
Well, I think we're a much more balanced team. Obviously, that 2015 team was pretty strong. We had Carlos Tevez, Morata, Pogba, but this team does have Dybala, Higuain, Mandzukic. I think as a team we function overall better. We're a more compact defensive unit. I think on offense we're a little bit more dangerous as well. But I think I think that 2015 final we were underdogs against Barcelona. They played a very good game, and I think this year we're a little bit more balanced team. As you can see, we have the addition of Dani Alves, and Alex Sandro emerging has been an amazing addition.
Yeah. And we're going to go back to Francesc. If Real Madrid and Juventus go head-to-head in the final, how could you see Real Madrid testing the Italians?
I think if Real Madrid are to be in the final, which we've already settled, it's very, very likely. I'd see pretty much a repeat of the Barca against Juventus matchup that we had in the previous round. Madrid are an attacking team, but I don't know if they got enough to break Juventus's back line. They're really well organised, and I agree with my colleague earlier. They're a much more balanced team now than they were a couple of years back. I think the back line is just tremendous and it's difficult to break. Madrid are not a team that feel hugely confident going forward. I think that where Madrid sort of excels is having a balance of parts of the game defending, parts of the game attacking. And against Juventus, I see Juventus sort of staying back, staying safe, making sure they don't make any silly mistakes, and countering back themselves. As I said earlier, their attacking three is just mind-blowing and a huge improvement of what they had in the past. Dybala, Higuain and Mandzukic, they've got different skills, but they complement each other as well. I would say definitely Dybala's speed and awareness is second to none in world football at this moment in time, and I do see him excelling at this moment in time, but becoming even better in the future. So does Madrid have enough to break that? I'm not sure.
Yeah. So we go back to Malha. How could you see Juventus testing Real Madrid?
Well, I think, again, Higuain, Dybala, Mandzukic, these players are all amazing. I think one of the key things that Juventus does well is that they attack through their wings very well. They use Alex Sandro and Dani Alves to go up to push up on the wings, and it really puts pressure on the opposing teams that way. And I think you saw that in the Monaco game, and you saw that against Barcelona as well, where Cuadrado, Dani Alves, Alex Sandro, Mandzukic on the outside consistently keep using those flanks. And I think, especially with Carvajal injured against in their last game, he might not be available if Juventus and Real Madrid make the final. I think that would be a game changer, because if they're forced to play another Danilo or Nacho or someone else in their back line, I think they might not be able to take the pressure that Juventus creates on the wings.
Yeah, also, you think they play with their wide attacking men. Real Madrid play with Carvajal and Marcelo, obviously play very high up. Could Juventus exploit them with their wing backs, with the way that Real Madrid play with attacking fullbacks with only a back four?
I think they can. I also think it depends a little bit on what formation that they play. I think we saw in the Monaco game we played a back three. I think because Monaco are slightly a weaker team than Real Madrid, but against stronger teams we have played a back four. Against Barcelona we played a back four, and I think when we have a back four, even though Marcelo and Carvalho, they push up as much as they do, I think Juventus is able to easily counter that.
Yeah. So Frances, Ronaldo's obviously a massive threat at the moment. What do you make of his form?
I think that Messi is better for a start.
Yeah,
But in a
Frances.
different way. I think comparing them both, it's been a game that the media and the fans from both teams have played for many years. Ultimately, they're different players, different skills, and very effective players for their team. Now, in terms of Ronaldo's current form, yeah, well done to him. He's not a youngster anymore like he used to be in his Man United days, and he's developed into a total player that can exploit his speed, his dribbling skills, and most importantly, his ability to find the goal. I think that what he has achieved over the years is impressive. And to be honest, at the beginning of this season, the Madrid media and definitely the Catalan media were relishing of his sort of decline in form. But in the Champions League, that's a competition he really, really thrives in. And in a way, he's been reborn, scoring hat-tricks for fun. So, I think he's going to be a danger to anybody at this stage, and quite likely Juventus in the final.
So you think he'll be a threat to Juventus's defence?
I think he will be. As I said earlier, Juventus' back line are really hard to break. They're very experienced defenders who have been playing together for many years. Obviously, Dani Alves was an addition this year, and I think the main difference between the Dani Alves at Barca and the Dani Alves now is that he's much more defensive conscious in Juventus because he knows his limitations in terms of form and fitness. Having more organised back line around him supporting him, and I think that having played against Ronaldo for many, many years, there won't be any surprises in that respect. So it would be difficult for Ronaldo to find spaces. Having said that, if there is a millisecond that the Italians are not paying attention, then he's more than capable of punishing them.
Yeah, so we've talking about Real Madrid and Juventus. Let's go back to the teams that obviously still stand a chance, although it'll be very difficult for either of them to get through. Let's talk to Michael now again, as he's kind of been left out of the debate recently. We've talked about the importance of Griezmann. He definitely needs to be on his game this week, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think what can really decide if he's able to shine is if the midfield also shows up. Lately, the midfield has been having problems with both retaining the ball and kind of formulating more attacks. It seems like especially in the first leg, you see under-hit passes, you see sloppy passing, which means that they turn over the ball way too easily. And they're actually able to retain a little more possession and either slowly but confidently break down a defense or quickly release the ball for counterattacks. Then you would see Griezmann shine because he has both counterattacking ability and just pure finishing ability in tight spaces. And he can add that little touch of class to really break down a defense if Real Madrid were to choose to sit back, which we might see since considering they have such the big lead. So you're going to need to see players like Gavi, Koke, Saul, if they play, kind of showing up more because they didn't have a good first leg. And I think that's what forced Griezmann to come too deep, and it neutralizes his abilities. It's not his best position.
Do you think, looking at the nature of Real Madrid, they're quite a physical team compared to the traditional Spanish style played? Do you think that Griezmann would struggle more as Real Madrid are likely to be a lot tighter to him, which they did the other day, but in a more defensive manner they'll be doing this next week? Do you think that he could struggle even more than he did in the first leg?
Yeah, because in the past you've seen Atletico relying on some tougher strikers. You saw them with Mandzukic. He was able to bully defenders, and it made them set-piece threats. Now, they've, in my opinion, they've lost a little bit of that physical aspect with smaller players like Griezmann. Gamero has shown to be strong too, but you see players like Fernando Torres going over a lot. So if those players can't support Griezmann, then you're going to see him being forced to do a lot on his own, and then it'd be hard to expect him to cope with all that pressure if Real Madrid are able to isolate him and put that extra bit of pressure on him.
Yeah, so
he's not the type of player to shrug off all these defenders and still find a way to score a goal or manage a header from a set piece. He needs a little more space.
Yeah, we'll just finish off with Atletico Madrid now, still talking about Griezmann. Do you think that he'll still be at the club come next season?
I think he'll stay one more season. I would to see out the transfer ban if that is upheld, and also to spend one more season with Simeone and at the new stadium. But with Simeone likely leaving after next season, I think Griezmann might not have as much desire and as much reason to stay, and he might be lured by some other big teams and the promise of playing with other players or actually having better chances to win trophies.
Yeah, so talking about the future of another player, we'll go back to Malha. Dybala's been very impressive this season, as was Morata in the last campaign. Could you see a similar thing happening with Dybala this summer? Will he still be at the club?
I think he'll stay at least one more year. I mean, he did just sign a new contract, but I mean, Pogba did also sign a new contract the year before he left too. But I think if we make the finals, which I think we will, I think he doesn't really have a reason to leave. We're competing with the top teams in Europe, and I don't think there's much more besides money that would really motivate him to leave. And I don't think he has a desire to leave yet. He's pretty young. He's 23, and I think we'll see him for at least another season. But I'm hoping he'll stay for another 2 or 3. I think that's my range.
Yeah, right. We paid a lot of attention to Juventus, Real Madrid, and even Atletico. So we'll finish off with Monaco in this debate. They've obviously been the most surprising team in the competition to reach the semi-finals. Their defence has been reasonably weak, but their attack has outweighed that with the young players, forward players they've got. How could you see next season going for them with their young players? Could you still see them being at a club? We'll start with Michael.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for Monaco after this season. They've had a great season, and if they win the French league, and even if they just go out at the semifinals, it'll be phenomenal for them. They've been a revelation this season, and their young players have really shown up. And the problem with that for a team like Monaco is there's always an expectation that their star players will get picked off by the bigger clubs, which in my opinion is a shame to see, but it's kind of the way things are going now. And so big players like Kylian Mbappe and some other of their big midfield players, you already hear rumors flying around. And so I think it's reasonably likely you'll see them leave soon. I'd like to see this team stick around at least for another year, because then I think they can really push forward and do well, continuing their success in the league, assuming they win the league. And also in Champions League, I think they can try to push and continue their relative success. But I think it really is going to depend on if they can keep the core of their team together.
Yeah, they've got a really exciting team at the moment. We saw their last strong generation that reached the Champions League final just around 15 years ago. That team ended up parting, unfortunately, and that was another good generation, unfortunately, disparted too early. But, Frances, would you agree with that, or do you feel that this is a team that's building and will stay together?
No, I totally agree with Michael. I think any team beyond Barca, Madrid, and the big English teams are in a really difficult position to compete in terms of budget because of the money from televisions and that. So no, any player from any team that is excelling will naturally have an offer from either one of the teams that I just mentioned. And it is very tempting if you got the chance to play alongside, say, Ronaldo or Messi, or one of the big London or London teams, then that is going to tempt you away. It doesn't matter how powerful your team is at the moment. Your teammates will be looking at the same possibilities as well. So for a team like Monaco to keep the young core, it will be very tough. I totally agree.
Yeah, would you agree with that, Malha?
Yeah, I think they'll stay one. I think that they'll stay together one more year. I mean, Mbappe's 18, Bernardo Silva's 22. These guys are young, but like Michael said too, I just think there's too much money at the big teams for them not to go. I think if a Barcelona or Real Madrid or if a Man United or a Man City come calling, I think these players will leave to those teams.
Yeah, let's go on to another discussion though, but I'm a big supporter of the Premier League being English, but is it an improvement for their career? I mean, Monaco in the semi-finals of the Champions League, obviously the French League, there's a big difference in quality there, but is it an improvement for their careers to be moving to the Premier League, bearing in mind English teams' recent performances in Europe?
I think. Oh, you can go ahead if you want.
No, yeah.
The one thing I have to say, because I've actually thought about this in terms of the Premier League, because that's where you see the big money flying around.
Yeah.
Is that it's compared to the French league? Yeah, you could say they're moving to a stronger league. What bothered me, because I see these players, they're young, but they made it to the semifinals. They're performing in Europe, and you just haven't seen that lately with English teams. Besides Man City getting to the semifinals a while ago, but for the most part, it's kind of you're not certain to even reach the Champions League. The fight for the top four is so tough, and I think a lot of development comes into playing against the best teams in the world, and so that's the one thing I think they could be missing out on, and also the expectation of a big money move. You kind of saw that with Pogba and Man United. They're gonna pay so much for you. That's kind of how the market is, but that price tag can still weigh on you, and it can make people scrutinize your performances. And I don't think you want to do that to a really young player.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think there are pros and cons to both.
Yeah, I mean, England had a good spell in Europe. If you've obviously heard of the coefficient rankings, UEFA rankings, in terms of who gets the fourth spot in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So Italy are
I would say,
close.
sorry, if I may,
Yeah.
at this moment in time, I think it comes to exposure. If you're playing for Barca and Madrid, you've got a Clásico twice a year, and you've got a really, really good chance of making a good run in the Champions League. So, as a young player, you want everyone to see how good you are, really. Obviously, that relates to money, but it's also the compensation that comes with being exposed and being watched on a weekly basis. Now, in terms of national leagues, while La Liga is really strong because of the top two teams, I don't think the competition is as tight as the English Premier League is, because the TV money is not divided properly. I would say 60% of the money goes to Barca and Madrid, and then you got Sevilla, Valencia, and Atletico on a second layer, and teams like Espanyol or Osasuna get virtually nothing, which is why Barca and Madrid are at the top all the time. Now, the Premiership distributes money in a different way, which is more equal, and the team that wins gets more, but the difference between teams like, say, Chelsea and Swansea is not massive. So going to the English Premiership enables the player to be constantly watched by millions around the globe. So their sponsorship money and anything else beyond the money they get from the team is likely to increase. So I think that's really appealing to young players. And let's be honest, not many people will watch a game of Monaco in the French league unless it was against PSG. So for any player from that team, it's clear that they would want to be in the eyes of the world on a weekly basis, not just if they happen to make it to Champions League semi-finals.
Yeah, I'm glad you echoed that. I mean, in the Spanish league, for Real Madrid, they can go and win a game against one of the lower leagues 6-7-0, whereas in the Premier League, let's say Sunderland, who have had a really poor season, let's say someone like Swansea, they can go and grab a draw against Man United or get a result out of one of the top teams. So maybe that's a reason now, because the Premier League is becoming tighter as ever. We've got teams like Stoke buying players like Shaqiri, obviously not one of the best Premier League teams. So when you've got such challenging fixtures, it probably means that they can't rest those players in the Premier League, which then makes it difficult for them to put out a strong team and a fit team in Europe.
Exactly. I'll throw up a bit of a fact in here. Barca have been rotating their squad the whole season, and if you think about our year 11, the one that we played against Juventus in the return leg, that 11 have not played together once in La Liga this season. So, and we are still, within 3 games of winning it. Obviously, Real Madrid may have a different opinion on that, but we're really close to winning the title. tantalizingly close, and we've never played our best 11. I think that's very telling of the quality of the rest of the league, really.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to finish up in a minute. So let's go back to Michael. Let's have your predictions for Atletico and Real Madrid.
In the second leg, okay, so I'm thinking Atletico playing their last European game and against city rivals in the Vicente Calderon. I think they're gonna be extra motivated and push for at least a win to end on a good note. So, but I still have Real Madrid to score at least once because they score in every game. So I'd say a 2-1 or even a 1-1 draw is possible. But no matter what, I think they're not going to be able to go through.
And then the Juventus and Monaco game, how could you see that panning out?
Oh, I think Juventus will do what they have to do. They don't even have to win, so I could see them just, being cautious in the first half. But if things go their way, they could take it easy in the second half. They could go for the win, make it a 1-0 or so, but I don't think they'll overexert themselves if they don't have to.
Yeah. So, Malha, let's start with the Juventus result. Could you see them recording yet another win?
Yeah, I do think they win. I think, like Michael said, they're going to play it safe. They're going to go maybe for a 1-0 win. They'll play just a solid defensive game, keep a very disciplined line, and they're just going to see out the 90 minutes, I think they have the game in hand. They have away goals. Their whole idea is now just to play a easy game, no injuries, keep the 90 minutes safe, and just try to advance. That's it. I think they will.
So what would your score be?
I think it'd be a 1-0 win. I think they'll get an early goal, and try to just defend that lead.
Yeah, and then the Real Madrid and Atletico tie. What's your prediction for that?
I think Atletico will go on an all-out attack, but I think Real Madrid are going to be good on the counter. I think they too will get an early goal or two, and then they're also going to just hang on for the slight win. They don't need Atletico Madrid has all the pressure on them, and I think Real understands that, and they're going to let Atletico try to take the first shot as much as possible, but they're going to just see out the game. I would predict a 1-0 win for Real Madrid as well.
Yeah, and then going to Frances now, start in Spain.
Yeah.
How could you see the Madrid derby going?
I agree with both my colleagues that have spoken earlier. I think Madrid with spaces are much more dangerous than Madrid trying to get the game. So I see a 3-1 win for Madrid. So it would be a 6-1 aggregate. And in terms of the game in Italy, I think Juventus won't do anything silly, and they'll just play safe and probably a 1-0 win for them, and qualify for the final and hope for the best then.
Yeah, alright. Well, it was a really good discussion there, guys. Got some great debate and discussions going, some good opinions, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, firstly, to our co-presenter, Michael.
Thank you.
And Malha, our Juventus fan, speaking today.
Yeah, thank you.
And Francesc, who runs Barca blog, if there's anything else you want to describe there.
No, muchas gracias. Thanks a lot for having us being part of the podcast, and I really enjoyed it.
Alright, thank you. Remember to stay tuned to GB Articles blog. You can also find us at our blog page at gbarticles.co.uk and follow us on social media, on Twitter at GB Articles, on Facebook at GB Articles, and also on Instagram at GB Articles blog. Thank you for listening and hope to see you next time.